Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 17th, 2022 at approximately 1:47 PST PM. PST PM. That worked out well. In case you hadn't noticed, this is a live recording, meaning when I get done in this recording, I simply take a look, make sure I got the date right, and then post it as is. Now, I return to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind every entity in existence that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay, now, I've walked through a lot of this before. What I'm looking at right now is just what is going to feel right. Today, I'm looking at literally the home. What is going to make your life feel like your life, feel more content? Now, understand, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use. This is why I know they work. That and the fact I've got well over, at this point, well over 80,000 clients. Okay, under my belt I've dealt with, and I'm talking 80,000 independent clients. Now, when I calculated that out, that was almost 7 years ago. So you get figured out at this point. I've never bothered calculating it. Okay, but with that in mind, okay, when I talk about offering tools, I've handed any of the tools that I do use I've offered to other people. But even the tools I offered that apply to other people that don't apply to me, the obvious one of which is I've shown a lot of people how to quit smoking without withdrawals and without extra medical attention. Now, that said, if you require medical assistance, absolutely use it. I am an extreme anomaly. Okay, but I have given tools like that to people, like to literally hundreds of people. Actually, in this case, literally thousands of people, on how to quit without the use of medical. This does not replace medical. Okay, it's just I personally have a problem with the whole idea. I'm a firm believer that mind over body in a lot of cases work. But do understand, okay, when I snapped my arm, I went to a doctor. And I'll tell you, I would rather have gone to a doctor and got the bolt put in to hold it in place long enough to heal than to sit around and hope that I got it right. I have no doubt I would have, but I will tell you it would have been a whole lot longer trying to put it together. But I've pointed this out multiple times. I keep this list handy. Okay, yeah, it's just loose leaf. I'm still a dinosaur. But I keep a list here now. On this list right now, I always recommend, okay, you get three on to begin with. Obviously, you start with one, but you put three tasks that you feel are necessary at the beginning. Keep each one of those tasks down to 15 minutes to half an hour in duration. In that way, when you get finished with them, you can check them off, add another one. Now, right now, I'm working on this particular recording. Okay. Now, this particular recording, also known as The Journey, okay, when I get done, it'll last me half an hour. Then I've got to post it right away. That'll take another 15 minutes ish. Once I do that, where did I just put that book? Right there. Once I do that, I've got this book. Now, this is my hard copy for writing. Okay, for writing the Yldrbac Chronicles. Okay, but I've got a tab in here that shows me how far along I am. Okay, just like that, as far as how much of this book I've written in. But I'll be taking 2 or 3 pages of that. I'll take half an hour to hard copy from hard copy to soft copy. Okay, there goes another half hour. Once I've done that, I will turn to finance and get those all sorted out. Okay, and you can see how this works. As you get one, you check it off. Okay, once I've done the financial calculations and balancing, then I'll get my office desk itself sorted out, and then the painting desk. And by then, I will have everything. I will have everything running properly. So for the next 2 or 3 hours here, I've already got it laid out. Now, when you're putting these lists together, do not forget to include things like taking a break. Okay, you need a break. You do require some time to eat. Remember to schedule it in. Okay. Now, for me, things are finally working in the right direction. Boy, did I screw up yesterday, just a couple of days ago. Forgot because I just turned 59 on Friday. But I made the mistake of overlooking that for my license. So thankfully, my brother came up, gave me a lift down to get it all straightened out. It's back running properly. Okay, which is not a bad setup. Speaking of which, I do have to let a couple of people know that I actually pulled that off. Technically, I don't have to. Okay, but like I said, working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. But it starts in your own home with your own self. Now, I am very pleased to say, at least in my eyes, okay, that, and I recommend very strongly you people do this. If you've got a friend that you're estranged from, if you've got a family member you're estranged from, reach out to them. Do not wait for them to reach out to you. Put the negative past to rest and reach out to them. Put that connection back together, because one of the biggest shortfalls I ran into, and I have people come to me all the time with this, is you wait too long to reconnect with these people, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And especially once you start getting up in your years. Okay, and this applies to everybody, because you could be as young as they come. Okay, and lose somebody. I lost a friend when I was in grade 10 and never had the chance to really, well, in all fairness, we didn't have a fallout. But, in grade 10, she was all of a sudden gone. You cannot go back. If you miss that opportunity, you cannot go back and correct it. Once time is gone, time is gone. Okay. But you take a look at the flow of the energy in your home. Now, right now, there's a lot going on for me that I never thought I would get to. Okay. And it really boils down to, because when I'm talking about the home, I'm talking about the feel of the place in which you're living. Okay. That is the critical point. Where I am right now, I like the layout I've got here. I like the fact that for the first time in my life, I've got 2, maybe 3 months of easy access cash without worrying about it, where my living expenses are ready to go. Now, I come from a time where up until 3 months ago, I literally had to worry every month whether or not my last paycheck would cover my rent. Now I've eliminated that stress point. And I will tell you, the more stress you can remove from your life, a lot of the time that is just the clutter. Okay. You get the clutter in your house sorted out, and you'll find that all of a sudden things work a whole lot more readily. Okay. So I'm really working on that side of it. And when I talk about Feng Shui, now if you look at the writing on Feng Shui, there's a lot of it. It's an Eastern philosophy, and it works beautifully in the Eastern world. But the thing there is, in the Eastern cultures, the entire culture is built that way. So when they talk about taking, your North Door and doing this, your East Door or whatever, okay, that works great there. In Western society, that's virtually impossible. But, unless you're building your own home, at which point you can. But, the principle is identical. Okay. And that's why when I talk about this whole concept of having the energy set up right, I look at my finances, they're set right here. And this is this is the energy place. This is the root. Like, here's the cerebral cortex of your home. This is the brain. Okay, where you work on your finances, where you work on your organizing, your day-to-day stuff. Like this list that I've got here is part of the organizational pattern in your brain. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. That's why I still use paper. Speaking of which, I do have to start doing that. Not using paper. Okay, a number of years ago, specifically December 28th of 2018, I had an annoying stroke. I was left unable to speak and unable to walk. Okay, now I used to write really well with my left hand. Actually, I used to write better with my left hand than with my right one. Albeit mirror image, but it was better. So what I have to do, and today's as good a day as any to start. Here's the thing with starting something. When do you start? Well, I'm going to wait until Monday. I'm going to wait until tomorrow. Whatever it is, I will tell you this. No matter when you start, you are starting right here, right now. This is the only time in existence that you can ever do anything. Okay? And every single person, every single entity in existence is in the same boat. Okay? Now, I'm quite happy to say that, my left hand was shut down. I couldn't use it at all. At this point, it actually works reasonably well. Not as well as I'd like it, but it will get there. Now, I've talked to some people that have had a stroke before, and this is the thing where it comes to feeling. You can get to a point where you go, I just cannot get any further. I'm done. The moment you tell yourself you're done, you are. Ultimately, as my father used to put it, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, inevitably you're right. You're going to prove yourself right. Now, this does not mean you do it without assistance. Okay, sometimes people have to be reminded of the basics. Okay, and that really is the kicker to it. Okay, in this case, I've reached a point in my life, and I got thinking about it, no, my hand is not recovering as fast as I would like. But, I mentioned this a bit ago. Okay, where it comes to belief, I forgot one little detail. My healing rate has always handled everything for me. But where it comes to accelerating it, it still requires concentration. Okay. Now, for me, it really boils down to this, and this is what I encourage you to do. Keep in mind the biggest factor involved in turning things around for yourself, because no matter who you get information from, you're going to have to be the one doing the work. Okay, and here's the most important 4 words you'll ever run into that I'm aware of. Those 4 words right there. I am worth it. Once you get that through your head, okay, there is virtually nothing you can accomplish. There's a lot of things I would not recommend. Okay, I mean, personally, I don't recommend skydiving. But then I can't figure out a rational reason to get out of a perfectly good aircraft. I'm quite patient in that respect. I think, like I told one guy when he was trying to talk me into it, I said, look, here's the deal. If I'm going up into an aircraft, okay, I will wait for it to come down. I'm not going to try out a parachute without it. Okay, I'm just not that interested. If the plane's not in trouble, I'll wait until it lands safely. If the plane is in trouble, absolutely strapping a parachute on my back, shove me out the window, shove me out the door, but please pull the parachute cord on the way. Okay, and I'll take my chances landing. Right, but if it's not in trouble, just stay, I'm staying on board, I'm going to parachute. There's a lot of people that thoroughly enjoy it. They thoroughly enjoy hang gliding. Myself, I'm quite content watching it. Okay, but that's what makes me content. What makes you content may be something else. So when I get done this recording, I will get on and get a bunch of this moved over. Okay, a bunch of this hard copy moved over onto soft copy, and get back at it, in full force, because I've got a deadline. I've already overrun it. At the beginning of the year, the idea was to have book 12, the Return to Paradise, completed before I hit my birthday. Didn't make it. My birthday was on Friday. Okay, but here I am, 59 years old. I still look at the example that was set by Colonel Sanders. He was 65 when he first started making a move. Okay, and he ended up doing extremely well for himself. For me, time will tell. Money has never been a motivator for me. But reality is, it's going to be required when I get to the point of retirement. Okay, so the stuff that I'm working on here will be to clear out the clutter. The first area, as you can see, well, actually, these shelves are actually in really good shape now. Okay, because up top, way up top there beside the lighthouse, those books up there are all antique. I think the oldest one I've got up there was written in 1850. Okay, then on the second shelf right here, that's my Tolkien collection. Okay, and hopefully I'll be adding another collector's book to that one. Okay, if my brother can find it, if my one brother can find it. My eldest brother just passed on March 5th. Okay, and he's got one book that I do desire. And then these shelves down here have books I've physically written are in publication. But that's got that all organized. Okay. Over on this side is where I've got all my painting work. Okay, the little figures that I paint. And I'll get back to showing those within the next couple of days here. That's why, as soon as I get done with the other four things on the list, that's the next one to get sorted out. And of course, I've got to go back into my filing cabinet and make sure that's all clear, because I'm getting rid of the clutter. I'm done with the clutter now. Remember, I used to be a professional pack rat. All of these shelves used to be jammed. If you look up here, right there, that little bit of room there would have been packed even tighter than what it is. Okay, all this shelving down here, you'd never seen the white wall. It would have been packed all the way to the top. Same as over on these shelves. Okay, this is why I say I'm getting rid of the clutter. I'm getting it organized. I'm removing stuff that I don't require. Okay, that book, this little book down here, this is just an odd idea. That book right there is actually written in Italian. Now, I don't speak Italian, but I was talking to somebody about Google Translate, and what they told me was if you put things in one sentence at a time, at least for German, Google Translate works reasonably well. It gets confused when you try putting in whole paragraphs. Okay, but one of the little odd things I'm going to end up doing is taking where is it? That boy, do I get that backwards. That book right there. Okay, and I'll be putting it into Google Translate one step at a time to see what the book says. Now, the theory is, by doing it one line at a time into Google Translate, I'll be able to eventually learn Italian to a degree. Now, the twisted part there is I'm not actually intending on traveling very far. I won't travel to a country I can't talk in, because I get lost easy enough. Not being able to communicate is just going to make matters worse. And I get stressed out enough. There is no point in it. The real kicker from your end is the way to make your home run smoothly is know what your limitations are. Absolutely push your limits. Okay, push your limits to a degree. But do not hesitate to get assistance when required. If you don't know how to do something, absolutely sit down with somebody, talk to somebody that's successfully done it before. Okay, One of my biggest holdups, as far as I've come to understand, is I'm a professional procrastinator. Okay, I can put things off forever. Well, just about. But the reality is, I mean, there was a time when I was looking at joining a procrastinators group, but they kept postponing the meetings. So, procrastination will not accomplish a whole lot of anything. So there are emails and what have you. I've got to get to. I've got to get back in touch with these people. Okay, and get things moved around. And that is, some of it is really, really tedious work. Because, let's face it, until I was 56, I was still collecting junk. At this point, the only junk, if you will, that I collect is all in this corner over here, all the way from the filing cabinet, all the way around to the bookshelf that you can't see here. I've got stacks of figures that I'm painting. Literally well over 400. Probably closer to 5 at this point. I don't know. That's one of the things I got to do. You sort those out and label them so I know what I'm looking at. That's going to be a very long, drawn-out process. But it's also something I'm going to be working on. Because the less clutter you have, the more readily your brain is going to work. The easier it's going to be for you to think. Now, I know this from practical experience. Okay. And if you haven't tried it before, if you're having trouble thinking straight, keep this in mind. When you take the saying is that the way your primary living or working space is representative of the way your mind is working. Now that said, okay, your mind therefore has to be a reflection of the way of the way your physical world is set up. Now I will tell you from practical experience, far easier to alter the physical world than it is to alter the mental one. Okay, and here's a prime example. Okay, I've got a pencil in my left hand. Okay, so if I don't like it there and I want to put it in my right hand, or I want to think about it being in my right hand, right, it's easier to just go move it over. Now it's in my right hand. But the neat part about it is this. Okay, once you realize the change, moving the pencil from one hand to the other is not painful, it is not frightening, it does not hurt. Well, I guess it could hurt if you do it that way, but the reality of it is, and that this is the thing. I used to do this without a problem. Okay, when I had my stroke, that became a problem. I used to be able to do it very quickly at about the same speed. Now I'm no major I never have had an incredible ability where it came to dexterity or eye-hand coordination. Okay, but I used to be very comfortable with it. Okay, at this point, in case you couldn't tell, I'm really not that quick with it anymore. But I will get back to that point. I was talking to one young lad, and he turned around and told me he had reached a point with his stroke that he had healed as far as he's going to. I told myself right then, there is no way I'm giving into that. Very much like I came to the conclusion when I hit 246 pounds. I was not breaking 250. Well, I am now, I'm down, last I checked, which was a week ago, I was down around 203. My goal for the end of the year was to hit 200 pounds. Now, here's the thing, where it comes to weight. Some of you have a problem where it comes to weight in as much as there is a medical reason for it. Okay. Now, that said, medical assistance is required many times for that. Okay. I didn't have a medical reason for it. I had a lazy reason for it. I never moved, and I still ate like a horse. Okay, as in half my weight. But I finally reached a point where here I went, there is no way I want to gain any more weight, so I'm stopping it. Okay, this does require discipline, but to give you an idea, when there's medications out there that say, and they may be right, they say that they will drop your weight 30 or 40 pounds in a month, which is theoretically possible. Well, I guess it's been proven. Okay, with these medications. My concern is twofold. One, every time, and this is just my concern, I am no medical doctor. Okay, if you're overweight and you're dropping that kind of speed, all that toxin has to go through your liver. Okay, in order to get out, it's got to go through your liver. This is going to be an incredible strain on your liver. Much bigger problem to me, you lose weight that speed. Your skin doesn't have time to adjust. Okay, which means you end up with a whole lot more loose skin hanging around. And for me personally, that looks worse than being overweight. But that's just my personal opinion. I found the best, for me personally, in my opinion, your best rate of decrease is a pound to a pound and a half a week. Okay, that means 4 to 6 pounds a month. Okay, now with that in mind, last year, yeah, I think I'd have to go back now, but I think it was around about my birthday last year. Okay, maybe a couple months later, where I took a look at my weight and went, I'm not going any higher. Okay, so in that year, okay, I'm looking at 12 months, I've dropped about 40 pounds. Okay, now that means I've dropped about 3 pounds a month. Okay, just over 3 pounds a month. So it's a long, drawn out process to do it. But this is why I said when you get a plan in your head, you've got to have the persistence to stay with it and the patience to let it happen. Okay, it did not take you, it didn't, in all likelihood, you didn't end up in the state you're in overnight. Some of you do. Some of you end up in an accident, you end up with a major infection or something, and it writes your whole system off for, for the immediate time. And you rapidly end up in the wrong state. Okay, I know a chap that got on a medication and his weight ballooned almost 200 pounds at a staggering level. It's taken him a couple of years, but he's not half the man he used to be now. Okay, my own brother was working on the same idea, okay, before he passed away. So remember, if you're looking at getting a mess cleared out, it's going to take time. But you do it, the way I found works and the way a lot of people have found works is you take the idea and you put your list together. Okay, whatever the list is, keep the task to 15 minutes to half hour in length. Okay, when you get one done, check it off. Okay, and just keep it to small tasks. Now, now regarding that, I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.